Hello there, welcome to Wednesday's Granada Report. We're live across the northwest.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Here's what's coming up on tonight's programme.
A life-extending drug for young people living with a cruel wasting disease. So why is it not available at any NHS trust in our region?
We have a licensed medication for which the company has said that they will give the NHS the drug free of charge, but sites can't deliver it. It's unbelievable.
It's a very sad chapter for Ukrainian history, but it's obviously very sad for me personally and for my family because of that family connection.
Going back to the war zone, journalist Maria Romanenko visits her home in Ukraine to shed light on daily life amid the strife.
In sport, could Liverpool win the Premier League tonight without kicking a ball?
And there have been a few April showers around over the last day or two. Temperatures, in fact, on the rise to end the week. I'll have all the weather details later on.
So first tonight, it is the drug that's extending the lives of children living with a cruel degenerative disease. But maddeningly, for children and their parents, it's not available for all.
Yeah, the drug in question is called Granada and it helps treat patients with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And one young boy who currently is being treated with it, you might remember him, is Jack Johnson from Wigan.
His family's fundraising for him spawned the well-known Joining Jack campaign with its distinctive salute adopted by many sporting stars and celebrities.
Well, Jack is now 17, but while he's being given access to the drug, only 6 NHS trusts in the country and none here in the northwest will treat patients with it. Our correspondent Mel Barham went to meet Jack's family to find out why.
Which set is this one from?
The new Captain America set.
Two boys with a lot in common, the same name, a love of Lego, and both have a life-limiting disease called Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Who's that again? I forgot his name.
But where they differ is one Jack is being given access to a life-extending drug, whilst the other Jack has been told he can't get it.
It makes me feel really sad because I want to help every boy with Duchenne. I want them to be able to have the same opportunities I've been given with this drug.
What are we building?
We first met Jack Johnson over a decade ago. The famous Joining Jack salute was adopted by sports stars and celebrities as the charity raised millions for research into the condition. They helped fund a clinical trial for a new drug called Granada, which was found to be effective at slowing down the disease. In November, it was approved as a licensed drug, and the pharmaceutical company is now offering it free to the NHS as part of an early access programme. But only 6 hospitals in the UK are currently offering it, meaning there are many boys with Duchenne across the country being denied access to a treatment that could help them.
I'm completely frustrated. I can't believe it. Everything that my family and everybody has done in the northwest over the past 13 years to get this clinical trial up and running and then to get the drug approved, for us now to be in a situation where we have a free medication and we cannot give it to these boys is disgusting.
Jack Johnson has been on the drug for the last 5 years as part of this clinical trial, and he says it's made a massive difference to his life. But 9-year-old Jack Binns has been told, because of where he lives in Cheshire, he can't get the drug.
It makes me very sad and very angry, yeah, because it's just so unfair. It really is. You just want to see them have a prolonged life, and he doesn't understand.
The Johnsons have been to London to discuss this with the Health Secretary, but as every day and week passes, more boys are deteriorating.
How do you feel knowing that, this drug is free, this drug is working, and yet there are so many boys who don't have access to it?
It doesn't make any sense to me why the NHS wouldn't want to help. That's what they're there for, to help people, and this medicine is going to do that.
At the minute, it does feel like the patients are pawns in a big chess game that's going on, and they are the ones who are suffering. And I really would encourage the management of these trusts to actually remember these are boys that deserve this medication. They deserve to try a treatment that is going to slow down the progression of this disease for them.
It's so unfair. You know, we're dealing with a child that has got a life-limiting condition, and this could give them a glimmer of hope. And we just plead to just please provide the drug to them.
NICE, the National Institute for Health and Social Care, will assess this drug for cost effectiveness in July. If they approve it, it would be made available across the NHS. But until a decision is made, it is a simple postcode lottery. And time is one thing these boys don't have on their side.
Well, Mel is here with us now, and Mel, the drug isn't officially available at any trust in the Northwest. Is it any NHS trust? Jack Johnson, who we saw in your report there, gets treated at Alderhay Hospital in Liverpool, but it's not that straightforward.
No, Andy, it's not. So Jack Johnson is getting that drug because he was part of that original clinical trial. But Alderhay is one of those trusts who have so far not agreed to make this available to other patients with Duchenne, patients like Jack Binns, who we saw in my report. Now, he meets all the criteria to get this treatment, but he can't get it because Alderhay haven't agreed. So we have approached Alderhay today just to find out why. They have told us a lot of the reasons are down to staffing resources. They go on to say, we fully support making new treatments equally available to everyone, and we are committed to actively supporting the rollout of the early access programme across the NHS, taking a consistent approach with other organisations across the country. At Alderhay, they say work is underway to assess how best to implement the early access programme for Givinostat. This includes reviewing the clinical, operational and logistical requirements to ensure we can provide the appropriate care, oversight and monitoring for eligible patients. So perhaps in time they may make this available to patients with Duchenne, but as you saw in my report there, these boys can't wait for these decisions to be made and these logistics to be sorted out. Every single day that they are not getting this drug, they are deteriorating. And I think Joining Jack's campaign motto says it all really, time is muscle. And whilst they wait, you know, for that decision by NICE, we estimate around about 100 boys here in the Northwest who are desperately waiting to get this treatment that could significantly improve their lives.
Well, let's hope they get a speedy resolution to this. Mel, thank you.
Well, next tonight, to a charity that's having to close after supporting people in our region living through some of their darkest hours.
Yeah, the Merseyside branch of the charity SAM, which stands for Support After Murder and Manslaughter, was founded by mum Mary McCord after the murder of her daughter Helen in 1988.
But the trustees who run it now say they can't go on after vital funding was cut. Our correspondent Victoria Grimes has more.
It was a charity set up in the wake of an unimaginable tragedy by one mother who didn't want anyone to face the horrors of homicide on their own. Mary McCourt's daughter Helen was just 22 when she disappeared in 1988. The man convicted of her murder never revealed what happened to her body. Since Mary started SAM Merseyside, it's helped hundreds of families, including those of Jill and Helen, who've helped run the charity since Mary stepped back for health reasons.
In 2004, my son Robbie was murdered, and Mary McCourt came to see me. I didn't know what to do or where to turn, and it was nice to find other people who had been in the same situation as me.
She's just been there for all of us.
Helen's partner David Irwin was just 30 when he was attacked in Hale Village after an event at a pub in 2002. He died in hospital 2 days before Christmas, leaving Helen alone with their 5-year-old daughter Molly.
To have a group like SAM Merseyside is so beneficial because you can connect with other families who know exactly what you're going through. It's just it's a horrible darkness, you know, and you're in shock.
Next month, SAM Merseyside must close. Its government funding was stopped just before the pandemic. They'd been surviving on reserves, but now the money's run out and they just can't continue.
So what's this going to mean for those who would need the services of something like SAM Merseyside in the future?
Families have to look elsewhere for that support, and it's not going to give that personal touch that we used to give. We supported families through the whole process of from when you initially lose someone to when you go to court, and then the aftermath, and then when the perpetrator is released. That's a whole new process again. A lot of families were just really upset, and they were, where are they going to reach out to now?
Because it's something, and it sounds bizarre to say, but it is actually something to look forward to. It's the one time that it's okay to say your loved one's name and out loud, and the rest of the time you don't, do you?
Sometimes you try to make people feel comfortable because they don't know how to talk to you when you've lost someone to murder.
It helps having somebody who understands what we're going through.
Jill and Helen say that Sam Merseyside will continue its support via social media on Facebook so that Mary McCourt's legacy can live on. Victoria Grimes, ITV News, Liverpool.
OK, some more of the day's news now. And police investigating vandalism at a church in Lancashire on Good Friday have released CCTV images of a person they wish to speak to. The attack on the Grade 2 listed St James's Church in Leyland damaged walls and 40 gravestones. It is being treated as a hate crime.
Prison officers will be able to use tasers in some of the country's most dangerous jails in the wake of the attack by Manchester bomb plotter Hashim Abedi. Officers have demanded better protection after Abedi attacked 3 guards with hot oil and homemade weapons. The Justice Secretary has approved the use of stun guns as part of a wider review into prison safety. The prison service will also investigate whether staff should be given protective body armour.
Well, next tonight, 3 years ago, Maria Romanenko's life was turned upside down when she was forced to flee Ukraine at the start of the Russian invasion.
Yeah, like thousands of other refugees, Maria left her whole life behind, seeking safety here in the northwest and settling down in Manchester.
As a journalist, she's been documenting the impact of the war on her homeland, and you may well remember that we've spoken to her about it a number of times here on Granada Reports.
Well, now she's gone a step further and taken out a group of people from the UK to the Ukrainian city of Lviv to see firsthand how the country's living with the ongoing conflict, as Tim Scott reports.
Wherever you go in Ukraine, you can't escape the war. From burnt-out Russian tanks to heartbreaking memorials to the dead. These pictures were shot by Maria Romanenko, a Ukrainian journalist who fled the country from Manchester when the Russians invaded in 2022. And like many Ukrainians, Maria has lost people to the war. Her friend Max Levin, a photojournalist, was killed just weeks after the Russian invasion. And now in 2025, Maria paid her respects at Max's grave.
He disappeared near Kiev in early March 2022. His body was found weeks later and there were signs of torture. He wasn't a soldier, he was a journalist telling the world the truth. And for that, they killed him.
And that wasn't Maria's only visit to a cemetery. She travelled to Kyiv to meet her father, who didn't want to go on camera. He'd been due to attend a school reunion and found out an old classmate, Helena, along with her whole family, had been killed in a Russian airstrike. It meant another heartbreaking visit to a grave and the site of the building Helena was in when she died.
My dad told me that his former classmate Helena with her husband and their son were those people who were trapped under the debris and killed. It's a very sad chapter for Ukrainian history, but it's obviously very sad for me personally and for my family because of that family connection.
Maria and her partner had taken a group from the UK to the city of Lviv to see how people live in the middle of a war. Arriving there, hundreds of miles from the front line, they were greeted with an air raid siren for an attack that thankfully never happened. The visitors were shown a rehabilitation centre for wounded soldiers, part of the Unbroken Cities network, where the likes of Liverpool and Manchester offer support for rehabilitation projects across the country. At the city's railway station, this huge organ has been made using recovered Russian shells for its pipes. Across the country, the conflict is also marked by huge memorials like this one in the city square in Kyiv. And there's rallies like this one in the snow, a rally for the missing, soldiers and civilians, their families clutching pictures of the loved ones they may never see alive again. While the war still rages in Ukraine, the people here remain resolute and determined to fight for their country's future. Tim Scott, ITV News.
Well, Maria came into the studio with friend and neighbour Ollie Whiteleg, who went on her with that trip to Ukraine. And I asked them why they'd chosen to visit a country still in the grip of war.
So Brits, when they look at Ukraine, they see all the footage from the front line. They see those pictures, but they don't really see how the daily life is affected. They don't see how the city stands still when there's a funeral happening. They don't see how every day at 9 a.m. there's a minute of silence and everything, including the car traffic, stops for that minute. So all of those things, I think it's very important for people outside of Ukraine to understand how Ukraine survives in war times.
And Ollie, you've been twice with Maria now. You're her neighbour here in Manchester. Why did you want to go?
I have some Ukrainian heritage, but also to see Ukraine at a time that is unique, that is hopefully never replicated again, but it is something of a rare opportunity. So to have that opportunity was very important for me.
And Ollie, you're planning more trips back there, aren't you? What's the main thing that you've taken away from your trip out there?
The biggest thing for me was that normal life continues even under those conditions. And so it was very interesting to see that and to get a sense for the fact that this is still a country where people are living their lives, they're still enjoying themselves, they're still continuing despite it all. Sort of very similar to us, they have a sort of stiff upper lip almost.
And Maria, what's it like for you going back and seeing the destruction of your homeland? It must just be heartbreaking.
So because I am from Kiev, every time I go to Kiev because my family is in Kiev and they can't leave Ukraine, they can't come and see me in the UK, so I have to go to Kiev. But it's absolutely important for me to see my family, to see my brother's dog, Albus. It's all of those things, and it's my home. I love the UK, I love Manchester, it's been very friendly, but to me and to 6,000 Ukrainians who are now in Greater Manchester, but Ukraine is my homeland and I can't wait to go back.
How are your family and the people of Ukraine coping, 3 years into this war?
Life still goes on because it has to, because we can't allow Russia to think that every time they attack us, every time they do something, that we're going to give up or we're going to feel tired. So people have to go on, because if we stop fighting back, if we stop defending ourselves, we'll stop existing. It's very much an existential war for people. So I would say, it depends on what's happening at the moment and on the weather even, but I think overall, people have learned to cope, but obviously we all can't wait until Ukraine wins and the country just fully resumes its normal life.
Yeah, thanks to Maria and Ollie for coming to talk to us. And it is remarkable, isn't it, how life just continues away from that front line. Yeah. Right, time now for sport, and Liverpool could wrap up the Premier League title tonight, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. There could be a bit of a late night party in the city a little bit later. I wonder who remembers this moment. I bet you can't remember the date. This was the 22nd of July 2020. Liverpool lifting the Premier League trophy in an empty stadium during the COVID pandemic. Well, nearly 5 years on, they could be crowned champions again later tonight. And it could even happen without them kicking a ball. All eyes are on Arsenal's match at home to Crystal Palace. It kicks off at 8 o'clock. If Arsenal lose, then Liverpool will be champions. A win or a draw for the Gunners, and Liverpool will need to wait until their home match with Tottenham on Sunday to wrap things up. Well, after their 4 in a row, there's no Premier League title for Manchester City this season, but there was still plenty to cheer last night.
In terms of qualification for the Champions League, for the points, of course, it's important. But in the same times, we have to be calm and focus in the semi-final, and after you have days to prepare the 4 finals. 2 games at home, 2 away, and game by game.
Well, we just saw Marcus Rashford scoring for Aston Villa last night, and it looks increasingly unlikely that he'll be returning to Manchester United in the summer, with Rashford reportedly keen to join a club in the Champions League next season. The owners of Everton Football Club have brought in a new investor. American billionaire Christopher Sarafim has joined the club's ownership group. The 62-year-old fund manager is a minority shareholder of NFL franchise Houston Texans. Well, next to one of the most exciting inclusive sports in the country. Wheelchair basketball is the biggest Paralympic team sport in the UK, and a club from Manchester are about to take on the best in Europe. The Manchester Revolution are heading to Turkey this week for the Euro Cup finals. The team is made up of both male and female players and was only formed 3 years ago.
Oh, it's huge. First time in the club's recent history that we've done that, so we're incredibly proud. Clubs are battling it out across Europe to compete in this competition, and we're here, a charity organisation, volunteers running our club, competing against professional clubs. Oh, it's incredibly prestigious.
We're the only British team representing the UK. For the league, there just isn't that many women's players to create a whole league of itself. So yeah, me as a woman is playing alongside men. It's challenging, but it's also really rewarding.
And we wish them well over in Turkey this week. But that is your sport tonight, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Looks good, doesn't it, that?
Fantastic.
Yeah, they're a talented bunch, definitely. Thank you. All right, let's have a look at the weather now. And here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, a very good evening to you. Some chilly nights at the moment, but some pretty spells of sunshine around the northwest today. Bright and breezy conditions again tomorrow, and temperatures get a bit of a boost by the weekend. A warm southerly airflow, however, slightly more unsettled conditions will move in, with the chance of rain, particularly on Saturday. For the time being, low pressure being kept at bay out in the west, and the UK enjoying relatively mild conditions by day, a touch of rural grass frost each night, and by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday, fronts just beginning to nudge in from the west. But back to this evening, showers will tend to peter out, skies will clear, and much like last night, temperatures really will dip away low enough for a touch of grass frost, something for gardeners and growers to bear in mind. Quiet conditions for most of us to start the day tomorrow, with light winds for the northwest of England and the Isle of Man, perhaps a few showers for the Irish Sea and the Isle of Man before dawn. Speaking of which, the sun is up at 5:51, setting at 8:28 tomorrow evening. Not a bad start tomorrow, chilly, bright and breezy. Some lovely sunshine for the northwest through the first part of the day. Slightly more cloud for Pennine areas, the Lake District, and for all of us during the afternoon we'll begin to see cloud bubbling up. But it's fine, it's dry, and temperature-wise we're not doing too badly at around 16 Celsius tomorrow afternoon. Winds light but breezy at times, and we'll begin to see some showery rain perhaps for a time tomorrow night. Other than that, the rest of the week more cloudy in general. Rain on Saturday, but a real boost in those temperatures for the weekend. 19 perhaps on Sunday, so feeling very mild. See you again later on. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Well, that's it for tonight. Tomorrow night, we've got a bit of a sweet treat for you.
Oh, yeah, because, we can't tell you all about it just yet, but let's just say that it is a tale which really takes the biscuit. We'll let you digest those clues until tomorrow night. Crumbs.
Oh,
the ITV News is next, but from us for now, bye-bye.